the hood, champion boxing and sports. And boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, people, Isaac Cruz is calling out Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is calling out Isaac Cruz. The thing is this. Don't get excited about this fight because it's not going to happen. Now, I wish it would happen because Isaac Pitbull Cruz is absolutely ferocious. And a guy like Ryan Garcia is tailor-made for Isaac Cruz because Ryan Garcia fights extremely tall. He keeps that long neck straight up in the air with that chin right there at the top. And he doesn't know how to tuck his chin. He doesn't know how to get out of the way. Ryan Garcia is trying to fight like Canelo, which is just a mistake. A mistake. You can't, not everybody can walk a fighter down. And walking fighters down isn't just a matter of putting up a high guard and just attacking. It's just, that's not how you walk somebody down. There's intelligence in it. The number one thing with walking somebody down is being defensive minded. Ryan Garcia getting that high guard up is just not enough. So Pitbull Cruz is tired of Ryan Garcia calling his name out. Initially, after Pitbull Cruz demolished Yuriorkis Gamboa, Pitbull Cruz said Ryan Garcia would have to wait his turn. So what that tells me is Pitbull Cruz knows his worth. He knows he's an attraction. And he's not going after these fighters who don't bring much to the table. Isaac Cruz is in line to fight a lot of people, a lot of these champions. He has the style. He's a fan favorite. And something else that I didn't realize, so it's two things, and this is going to present complications. Isaac Cruz is being managed by Manny Pacquiao, but Manny Pacquiao promotion is aligned with Al Heyman and PBC. So you see that connection, you got PBC, Pacquiao, and then you got Isaac Cruz. So he's kind of under, although he's under Manny promotions, the PBC umbrella. Fights on Showtime. You get it? When you start looking at Ryan Garcia, De La Hoya, DAZN, two separate networks, two separate managerial companies, promotional companies. The thing with De La Hoya, see, because Golden Boy hasn't been able to really make fights with PBC and Al Heyman. There's a huge rift that started years ago. But, you know, remember, Schaefer was with De La Hoya. Schaefer and De La Hoya split ways. A huge brouhaha went on with those guys. Ended up in a lawsuit. Schaefer took some rights with some of the fighters with them. Got a little bit of money. It is what it is. But when you fast forward to where we are now, this is how boxing politics and guys who want to act their shoe size hurt fighters. Because now you got a guy like Cruz and, you know, Garcia. Let's say they really want to get it on. Okay? How are they going to make that fight when De La Hoya, Al Heyman, Manny Pacquiao? I don't think Pacquiao is the issue. But De La Hoya, Al Heyman, PBC Showtime, PBC and Showtime, Oscar De La Hoya and DAZN, these guys can't come to terms. You see, and that's the politics of it. It all boils down to money. No one's thinking about these fighters' best interests, except us fans, because we just want to see them fight. And even sometimes we don't care about their best interests. We want to see guys fight. But what's going on right now is unless there's a mandate made, which they can't make a mandate because neither one of them have belts unless they have some kind of title eliminator, but I doubt that's going to happen either. I mean, unless there's something miraculous that happens, this is nothing but just a dream. And what's unfortunate about it is Pitbull Cruz really doesn't want to fight De La Hoya. I mean, he wants to fight Garcia. He does. Pitbull Cruz is a guy, man, he's all about fighting. He's not about dancing. He's not about social media. You know who he reminds me of? Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto has the same kind of demeanor. Doesn't really say much. All about the business. He lets his fists do his talking. Same kind of approach with Pitbull Cruz. He's not saying much. He's just like, if you want to fight, let's negotiate. Not on social media. Oscar De La Hoya goes out there. I think sometimes De La Hoya looks at these fighters because De La Hoya has a pretty strong connection with Mexican boxing and what's going on behind the scenes and up and coming fighters. Just because of who De La Hoya is, and first generation born here, but a real strong connection to his Mexican roots. Phenomenal boxer. He's, you know, started off, I think, as a phenomenal promoter. It's kind of, you know, hit or miss here because of just all the stuff he had going on outside of his professional career and his personal life that just kind of tainted the De La Hoya brand, the Golden Boy brand. But at the end of the day, sometimes I think De La Hoya looks at these fighters coming out of Mexico and thinks they're stupid, which they're not. Extremely intelligent people. But I think De La Hoya looks at them and thinks they're stupid or naive in the sense that maybe he feels they're just going to jump at any number he throws at them, because it just makes their situation so much better, because some of these guys are coming out of dire poverty. Not all, but some are. Some are coming in situations where they can't afford to turn down $1,000. Give them $10,000, they're rich. So I think De La Hoya, when he's looking at Cruz, for him to say, here's $1 million, Cruz, let's make the fight. That's called dangling a carrot. You understand? They're dangling that carrot in front of Cruz, and Cruz isn't going for it. You see, that's a bait tactic. They're trying to bait him in just to get the conversation going. There's no need to do that. And it's also a way for De La Hoya to build his defense, so when people say, well, the fight didn't get made, he can say, look, I put it out there to the world. We offered this guy $1 million. He didn't want it. And to me, that's kind of cowardly, and it's just unprofessional and corny. So a guy like Cruz is like, all right, we hear you. You're throwing big numbers out there. You're kind of stimulating talks for myself and your fighter Garcia to get busy. But at the end of the day, it's all bullshit. I want to fight him, but let's go behind closed doors and work something out. But if Pitbull's going to get paid $1 million to fight Garcia, what's Garcia going to make? Now, we know who the draw is. Garcia's the draw. It is what it is. So it comes again, the question, which a lot of fighters fight over, who's the A side, who's the B side? Ryan Garcia, as far as what's brought to the table, is A side. He brings the fans, he brings the ratings. He'll probably the guy who's going to bring the money. He's going to put butts in seats. Isaac Cruz doesn't really bring too much to the table. He can put some butts in seats. Pretty much the hardcore Mexican fans. He's starting to get that crossover appeal as a result of what he did with Davis and what he did to Gamboa. But he's still, kind of unknown unless you find him in Texas, somewhere, California, somewhere with a large Hispanic population and guys who are going to come out and support him. Because we know a lot of the Hispanics, in particular Mexicans, when it comes to their fighters, they're fanatics. And that's a good thing. They support their fellow countrymen, which is how it's supposed to be. Beautiful. But outside of that, Pitbull Cruz, there really isn't much else. Now, one thing he does bring to the table, which isn't going to benefit him in negotiations to get paid, is he's the more violent fighter of the two. He's the more, in my opinion, skilled fighter of the two. And he's the guy, because of that height difference, Ryan Garcia is going to struggle with him. Ryan Garcia can fight, don't get me wrong. What he did to Luke Campbell was amazing. This last fight he had, he struggled because he was trying to fight like Canelo. He didn't use he can't go and fight. You can't come exchanging with Pitbull Cruz. He cannot fight Pitbull Cruz like he did the guy, Indigao, whatever his name, the guy from Ghana. You can't fight him like that. That won't work. Cruz will knock him out cold, and he comes out like a damn bear. I give it the first 40 seconds of the round, Cruz is going to daze Garcia and daze him bad. He's with Joe Goosen. Garcia's with Joe Goosen. And this is the problem. See, this is the problem with this trainer hopping. You go from working with your pops to getting with De La Hoya, somehow figuring it out. Now you go and working with Eddie Reynoso. Eddie Reynoso, what he invested in Ryan Garcia paid huge dividends. Ryan Garcia really grew underneath Eddie Reynoso and being in that atmosphere with Canelo Alvarez and the champion mentality. Like I say, find a way to win or find a way to lose. But Ryan Garcia gives him I'm my own star. See, that's when you have somebody in your ear. Like I think De La Hoya. I think De La Hoya was uncomfortable going into those training camps with Ryan Garcia and Canelo, and it made it awkward for Ryan Garcia. And I think De La Hoya like, look, you're the real star. You don't need to be underneath him. You know what, man? Ryan Garcia benefited from being underneath Canelo. One, he got to see what a true champion trains like, and he adopted some of that. Two, he got to see the mentality 3, he got to see what you have a greater effort, your reward is greater with all the monetary rewards Canelo received, and able to go out there and buy just anything he wants with the materialistic piece. And then lastly, when it comes to Ryan Garcia being over there with Canelo, he kind of got to see what it's like to block out distractions. And now he's going to Joe Goosen. I think that's De La Hoya getting in his ear saying that, look, you're a big star, you're a draw. He is to a certain extent, but he's not Canelo. He benefited from everything with Canelo. He was able to get some of his fanfare as well. By being over there with Canelo, he was able to get new fans. And Ryan Garcia was even talking about Viva Mexico, Viva Mexico, Viva Mexico. He didn't say that after this fight. You see? So now he's over here and Joe Goosen's trying to tweak his style. And the best stuff for Ryan Garcia was that style that he had over there, in my opinion, with Eddie Reynoso. Now he's over here trying to just, continue on with what he learned from Eddie Reynoso. And Joe Goosen, I didn't see anything. Actually, Ryan Garcia looked horrible in my opinion. Just high guard trying to walk somebody down, throwing a bunch of damn amateurish flurry of punches, Amir Khan style. But the thing is, Amir Khan, I keep saying, Ryan Garcia can learn a lot from Amir Khan. He can, but I'm not sure he can learn too much from Joe Goosen. Joe Goosen just, aside from Diego Corrales, what's Joe Goosen really known for? Yeah, he had a lot of different guys he worked with, but I mean, outside of Diego Corrales and Diego Corrales coming back, what's he really known for? See? I mean, yeah, he worked with some heavyweights. He worked with a lot of guys from different weight classes, but who did he really develop? And so I just don't see it. I think Ryan Garcia should have just stayed with Eddie Reynoso. So it's a waste of time. But when it comes to Pitbull Cruz, Ryan Garcia is going to have his hands full because he still doesn't know what style he wants to fight at. He doesn't know what the hell he wants to do. And he's getting in there because De La Hoya would have gassed his head up, had him break lock with Canelo. Now he's over here with Goosen trying to figure things out. And De La Hoya's throwing, crap to the wind. And Isaac Cruz sees that. And he's not buying into it. So the thing is going to boil down to what's Isaac Cruz really worth? And he's extremely high risk. So don't expect to see Cruz and Garcia fight. And I think Cruz knows that. I think he knows De La Hoya is not going to put him in the ring with him. It's just not until he learns to tuck his chin. And if Luke Campbell, he caught him with that left hand because that chin was in the air. This guy Garcia just fought, wasn't able to get his shots on. He landed a few shots on Garcia because Garcia's chin was in the air. He didn't get an opportunity to really hurt him or land multiple shots, but it was one or two here and there. But with a guy like Cruz, you have to kill that man. Like, you got to shoot him because he's going to keep coming and coming and coming. The mentality he has, if your Danish Yugas had that mentality when he fought Spence this weekend, we'd be celebrating Yugas because Yugas let Spence off the hook. When he hit him with that two-piece, and Spence was dazed, I don't care what no one says, and Spence fell into the ropes, that was a knockdown. But as he was coming off the ropes, a guy like Pitbull Cruz would have met him with a barrage of punches, and Spence would have been out cold. Referee would have stopped the fight. But, it is what it is. But Ryan Garcia and Pitbull Cruz, don't expect for that to happen. Too much drama that happened with Golden Boy when it sued the former CEO, Richard Schaefer, and surrendered his promotional rights to many of the boxers affiliated with Al Heyman. And that's why De La Hoya doesn't like Al Heyman. Al Heyman took a lot of his fighters. Richard Schaefer took his fighters, and it just hurt his pocket. It is what it is, man. But do not expect to see that happen. Garcia and De La Hoya said that Cruz needed to win that fight with Gamboa. He did. Now they need to come out and negotiate and make the fight happen. And we know Cruz is not into getting in the ring to tickle anybody. He's in it to, annihilate you. And I think De La Hoya knows that. I think all true boxing fan knows what would happen if they fought. Don't get me wrong. Ryan Garcia has a strong left hook. He has the speed advantage, but he doesn't have the balls advantage. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have that viciousness, that mean streak in him, and he doesn't have the discipline. Ryan Garcia can't stay disciplined through a whole fight and stick to the game plan. Because you better believe, with Joe Goosen, I would hope the game plan would be to kind of box, move, use your lateral movement, use those legs, counter on the way in. But that's easier said than done, because Isaac Cruz is damn near impossible for you to keep that up against him. He's like Miguel Cotto as far as the discipline and coming towards you, but if you take the ferociousness of what's his name, man? He fought Mayweather, man. Chino Maidana. You take that ferociousness and mix it with Miguel Cotto, and the kind of awkwardness and weird angles have shots coming at you. That's what you get in Pitbull Cruz. He's like a Cotto and Maidana fusion. So you coalesce the two and you get him, and that creates a problem for anybody. And then with stamina wise, now I don't know who fought that way. I don't know who I could compare it to with that kind of stamina, but he has endless stamina. You're just not going to come in there and stop this guy. So I think that Oscar De La Hoya is just kind of throwing crap to the wind. I think true boxing fans know that it's just barks from De La Hoya, barks from Garcia. The fight can't get made because of all the BS and promotional issues and all the kind of scar tissue type relationship between PBC and Golden Boy. But if for some reason they can sort it out, I think that that fight would create a lot of buzz. But then again, we just have to wait and see if it happens. I think there's more of a chance of this happening than Spence and Crawford. I'm telling y'all, man, don't keep getting excited for Spence and Crawford, because Thurman go slide in there. Watch what happens. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on Isaac Cruz, man. An amazing fighter, absolutely amazing. Guys are gonna have a tough time with him, and they say Tank lost. Tank didn't lose that fight; he won. But what wouldn't take that fight wasn't his power, wasn't his boxing IQ. It was his legs and his conditioning. He was able to move around, box smart, box with intelligence, and avoid Cruz's attack. He was able to dodge that onslaught and survive. When I say survive, didn't mean he didn't punch back, but I said he was able to get to the 12th round and win by decision. Supposedly hurt his other hand in that fight too. I think he hurt his left hand, but he won the fight basically with one hand, supposedly. That's what they say. I think the problem in that fight was what he had in front of him, and this amazing fighter in Isaac Cruz. So anyway, man, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to all the veterans. Isaac Cruz, Garcia. I don't see it happening. Too many obstacles out there. The $1 million sounds good. I think Isaac Cruz knows he may be worth a little bit more than that now, especially if Garcia is going to make $5 or $6 million. But I just don't see where they're going to get the money for a fight like that, especially fighting on the zone, and there's no pay-per-view. So we'll see what they come up with. But Isaac Cruz is on his way to bigger and better things, and he's not going to wait around to play some cat and mouse game with Ryan Garcia and De La Hoya, and he shouldn't. So that being said, shout out to all the veterans, and as always, I'm in the breeze.